Hi everyone, and welcome to this yarning panel about brother boys and sister girls and community health workers. Firstly, my name's Peter Waples Crow. I am Narigu and my pronouns are he, they, and I'm a health educator here in the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander project at Thorn Harbour Health. I would like to acknowledge the recording this Zoom in from today, or recording this Zoom from, which is the Bunurong and Wurundjeri peoples of the Kulin Nation, of the Greater Kulin Nation. I would like to pay my respects to the elders of the past, the elders of the present, and the elders of the future, and extend this welcome out to all the countries you find yourself on today. I want to pay my respects to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people joining this event, and just remind people that our sovereignty was never ceded. On the yarning panel today is Taz Clay and Briana Curtis, who are members of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander transgender community, which we call the Brother Boys and the Sister Girls. They both also work for the AIDS Council of New South Wales, ACON for short, and we'll explore that in the yarn today. Welcome to the yarning panel, Briana and Taz.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for giving up some of your time today. I might get each of you to introduce yourselves, you're all mobs, and I usually ask people to identify what letter of the alphabet they identify with, but if you don't feel like answering that way, feel free to answer any way you like and tell the audience a bit about yourself. So who would like to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first then. Hi everyone, my name is Briana Ngala Curtis. My pronouns are Beyonce, otherwise known as Diva, otherwise known as she and her. I come from Aranda mob, Aranda, Liriga, Warlpiri, Warramunga, Alyawara mob from Central Desert. I'm living on Darug land of the Ora Nation. And yeah, I would like to pay my respects to all people watching, Aboriginal people and traditional owners of this land, and acknowledge the elders past and present and our ancestors up and coming. And yes, I am, and that's who I am. Thank you.
Thanks, Briana. Taz.
Yeah, I'm Taz Clay. I'm a Kalkadoon and Boogum and Brotherboy from far north Queensland. And yeah, I used he, him. That's about it.
Okay. Well, thanks for the panel today. The first question I thought I would throw to people, like we'll probably have a mixed audience out there, Aboriginal people and non-Aboriginal people. And what do you think people would like to know? What would you like people to know about being sister girl or brother boy? What do you think are the big issues for brother boys and sister girls? Is it housing, sexual health, connection, support, social and emotional well-being, or all of the above? Who wants to answer that question? Delorina.
I'm happy for Taz to answer
Okay.
this one, and I'm happy to add on later. Yeah.
Alrighty. I personally think that all of them are quite important and all have their own issues attached to them. And in particular for me, I think mental health comes in many different ways, shapes and forms, and it takes on, physical health components as well, which, can lead to poor housing situations, poor sexual health outcomes, and the connection support that, gets lower as you get more depressed, I guess, as well, if you aren't dealing with who you are as a person and being true to yourself as well. That plays into a lot of the issues I think that are facing sister girls and brother boys around the country. And it's also hard living in regional and remote areas as well as cities for their own variety of reasons.
Yeah, I was going to talk about rural and remote, but that's great you brought it up. I think there are added pressures and part of our jobs as well, but we can talk a bit about that in a minute. Yeah. Briana, what do you think about
Well, being a sister girl from a remote Aboriginal community, you know, my community where I grew up, like a town camp on the outskirts of Alice Springs, called Ngudnara, otherwise English name Morrisode. You know, I found it very hard for me to access services. Very, very, very difficult for me as a sister girl, even to access housing and accommodation. And you know, I lived here, there, and everywhere. You know, I travel all around Australia, just with a suitcase. And now I'm finally settled down in Sydney for the last 7 years, and I'm an owner of my own house, which I am proud to own, and as a sister girl who's a hardworking person. But, you know, like as for services, when it comes to housing, mental health, um, um, just for general health in general, you know, all of these, you know, as Taz said, you know, there are all of those situations. They have different problems attached to them and difficulties. And, you know, like being a minority, you know, and I'm very marginalized and minoritized individual, being a sister girl, First Nations Aboriginal sister girl, it's difficult for us to access these and to find these pathways. And, you know, there's a lot of you know, statistics shows that we suffer a lot with mental health, suicidality, and you know, I'm accessing a clinic, you know, to get a general STI checkup, especially if you're living in a small town, and you know, you don't want to go to your local AMS because everyone knows everyone, and there's a trust issue there, and there's that, you know, that causes boundaries as well. And you know, and these are things which I have faced, and within my my journey so far. And so yeah, I think there can be a lot more done within our services to be more trans inclusive and sister girl and brother boy inclusive, you know, and Aboriginal trans and non-binary inclusive as well. And these services need to come on board and be educated from us to make their policies inclusive towards what we have to say. And, you know, and getting us sister girls and brother boys to speak firsthand about what we are going through, and hearing our struggles or what we have struggled with in the past, and, you know, get a solution out of it, pretty much. Yeah, that's what I think about that.
It's really important, and part of like today is giving you a voice as well, you know, and it's really important that brother boys and sister girls can speak for themselves. And look, I agree. Like you, I work for a mainstream LGBTIQA plus organisation called Thorn Harbour in Melbourne. Can you tell me a bit about your role in ACON, you know, each of you? And, you know, you talked about, I guess we could go on, but maybe just talk firstly about your role in a similar organisation in New South Wales. Yeah.
Well, working with ACON, I started there around roughly, I've been working there for 8 months now. Okay. From a 3-month contract, now going on to 8 months, and now going on to another 6 months. So amazing. The contracts is getting extended all the time. So because there's so much need in our community, within the sister girl and brother boy community. And I'm a community health promotion officer. That's my title, and I'm working along with Taz in our small knit team in the trans and gender diverse health equity department. And you know, like, from my knowledge, there's only 3 Aboriginal employees working for ACON now, and Taz and I are 2 of them. And so you know, I'm honored to have a platform to have a voice and to advocate and to be an expert and specialist on sister girl and brother boy issues, and to try and make something good out of it, and um, um, give our mobs an opportunity, pretty much. And that's how I see my role at the moment, is pretty much an educator and a leader and an advocate and an activist. And that's that's what I'm doing for our mob. And
That's
and
great.
working on several projects, and Taz and I are working on projects together as well. And we're just delving right into there. And we want to see good come out from our community within, hopefully not only New South Wales, but it will extend and expand towards all of Australia. That we're doing our first world leading projects, first in the world, and we want that to extend to our other sister girls and brother boys living out in other states and territories. And that's what my vision is anyway. For while I'm working there, I'm going to push for that and see if I can make that happen.
Great. Well, Victoria is waiting. It's got me here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Taz, what's your, you work with Bree, and what's your role there, and how would you define your role?
Yeah, so I'm also a community health promotion officer, and I'm specializing in suicide prevention worker. So with that, we'll be creating different resources around, suicide prevention. So I find it quite rewarding, and I've been able to find a role that's quite suited to the work that I've done for the last several years. And I've only been there for 3 months, but I'm looking forward to working with the team, with Bree, Liz, Teddy, Sophie and Leo for however many months or years to come. So
Great. And just leading on from that, I think all our roles are sort of like community development as well. And what do you think are important factors in reaching out and building up the community? Because I think just having you in those roles is amazing and says a lot about visibility and hearing our voices. It's the same as having me in the role here as well, So what do you think is important in your community, and how do you reach out and build up that community? So.
Well, personally, I think it comes down to having a trust factor, and a lot of our mobs, not just because we're sister girl or brother boy, but a lot of our mob being First Nation and Black, we have this trust issue with mainstream organizations, whether it be an organization like ACON, and them having Taz and I on board as First Nations people, and another First Nation person, Aboriginal person, working in that organization. And we are, I think that we leaders, towards trying to bring reconciliation. And I think it comes down to that trust, and a lot of that organizations, our mobs have struggled having that trust. And for and that's why us as leaders and working in those me as working for ACON, I do a lot of community engagement, and I have had feedback from sister girls and brother boys about the trust issue, and like in the past they've felt let down by organizations such as ACON. And so being in that role, it's pretty much I've got these big shoes to fill, to help bring that trust back together, and to make our mob be seen and be heard, you know, and be the voice for our mob within the organization, and you know, to the management and stuff, and you know, and yeah, you know, to the organization, and yeah, that's how I see, you know, my community engagement has been a little bit rough, but you know, it's getting there, and
Yeah, great.
yeah, but it's been good, you know. It's like we're getting a lot of good feedback, and mobs are coming on board now. You know, they're seeing a sister girl and a brother boy working for Acorn, and they're all coming on board now, and they're like, look at them two, you know, they're doing a really good job, and they're advocating for us,
Yeah.
and they're doing you know, and they, yeah, and like,
Well,
yeah,
I think
I'll
it's
pass it on to Taz. Yeah.
I think it's been the same issue here, you know, like we haven't always had the best relationship with the mainstream LGBTI orgs. So
Yeah.
our roles are important. Taz, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's just important to keep raising, you know, elevating the platform for Sister Girls and Brother Boys, and I think it's also quite important, you know, that people recognise that we're Aboriginal and or Torres Strait Islander people first before, you know, our other identities that come before that, and I think it's so important to ensure that such large organisations that are trying to support us do it in the right way and are listening to people that are there. So yeah.
And you
Yeah,
know,
great.
at the end of the day, like, you know, we are the experts of our own journey, you know, and we are experts of, like, I wouldn't say that I know everything, but I would like to say that I'm somewhat an expertise within Sister Girl community, because, you know, my own journey, not only because of my own journey, but because of the journey that I'm surrounded by my other sisters and brothers, you know. And we, as Taz said, you know, we need to raise that platform up higher so our voices are heard, and we are recognized for our work.
Yeah. So building on from that, I was going to ask, because I was thinking about this, like, can you talk about belonging to the community that you are working with? What's good about this, and are there any downsides, you know? So
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's great. I love being able to work for the community that I live and breathe every day. And I guess that creates that level of lived experience, which I find quite important when working with the community and ensuring that conversations and information that's going around is consistent with that of the people that are needing the support. And yeah, so you know that's what I really like about it. I think also the downside is though is that it can never be a 9 to 5 sort of job as much as you try to make it out to be. You know, your community is always going to be there, and that's what it is. And I find it quite an honor to be able to be in this role and in the organisation that I'm in, and you know, able to be a voice for my community. And yeah, that's the good outweighs the bad in that term.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, and you know, like, I've had a few what's the word? I wouldn't say what's the word? Not negative experience, but I should say that, but anyway, but with some community members, because for different reasons. But you know, like, as Taz said, you know, good outweighs the bad. So, and I want to yeah, you know, like, just be a leader, and take our mob, you know, get all of our voices heard and supported, because we need that, especially with all this coronavirus and isolation and stuff, you know, that's happening. We need that. We need our community to come stronger together than ever, you know. And even though we can't do it physically, we can do it like viral, you know, like over Zoom or something like that, virtually, you know, or Facebook groups and stuff, you know, support networks like that. And I think that's very important. And, you know, some people might feel left out or disagree with or not, you know, I can't live up to everybody's expectation, but
Yeah.
I can only do what I can do at my capacity, you know what I mean? And I think it boils down to funding and capacity. If I had the funding and if I have the capacity, I would hire so many more other sister girls and brother boys to come and join our team, to work for ACON, and to, you know, not only that, start up a Sister Girl and Brotherboy organization, you know, and get that up, make that an actual organization. And that's something that I'm thriving to see what come into fruition at some point, you know, and then, you know, but at the end of the day, there's going to be pros and cons, and there's going to be people that, you know, there's going to be, you know, what they say, iron sharpens iron. So there's going to be a little bit of clashing, but, you know, iron sharpens iron. So, you know, you know, at the end of the day, we can make our dreams come true. And that's what I believe.
Yeah, look, I totally agree. And I
Mm.
think I brought up that question to show people who are listening that, you know, it is, we're a very diverse community, and, you know, like we're within our own, we are Aboriginal people first, like you've said, and then we're part of the LGBTIQ+ community. And, you know, we sometimes we're not, yeah, and you're not always 20, yeah, it is, you're part of a community, so you're working outside your hours of normal work as well. I agree with you totally. And it'd be great to see a Brother Boys and Sister Girls organization. You know, we're here in Victoria, we're striving to set up the Koori Pride Victoria. So that's going to come out of the new Victorian Pride Centre, which is great. So watch out for that space as well, coming into you in May. And yeah, so it's important that we have visibility, I think. And if I had more capacity, there'd be more Indigenous people employed here at Thorn Harbour Health. And I think that's what has to happen in the future as well, you know, otherwise we're not as effective. And yeah, people don't, yeah, I don't represent everyone in the community, you know, we're a really diverse community. I work in partnership with the Victorian Aboriginal Community Control Sector. Is this the same for you in New South Wales? Do you have partnerships with the AMSs and stuff across New South Wales? I've been doing a lot of work in trying to create safer spaces for Aboriginal LGBTIQ mob, you know, and I'm wondering whether that is part of what you do as well. I mean, you talked about that, Briana, before, that that's what you're trying to create.
Oh yeah, from my knowledge is that ACON does have connections with like I forgot the name of it now. Nacho or something like that.
Nacho and the AH and MRC.
Yeah, AHR and MSC and the AMSs as well. So
yeah,
we'll be getting a lot of our resources out to you know, like TransHub, for instance. So we're getting if you look up TransHub, there's parts there where you know, there's an Aboriginal section, you know, and Sister Girl and Brotherboy section as well. So, and you know, getting that information out, and they've quoted a few of my quotes in on the page as well. So yeah, you know, but I think it's important to have that partnership, because if you don't, then you know, you're bound to fall over, and you need partnership to lean on and to help each other, and to, you know, and yeah, and to strive towards making a difference within our community, I guess.
Yeah. Taz, would you?
I've only just started, so I don't really have much to
It doesn't
comment.
matter. I mean, like you've had experiences working in other organizations as well. So, anything you want to
Yeah,
yarn about what's important to you is really good for
yeah.
people to hear.
Definitely in Brisbane, I've seen partnerships with AMSs in relation to particular like Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander LGBTI and Sistergirl Brotherboy community to to the extent that, and I've also seen it down here since I've moved, is that some of the AMSs will have endocrinologists so that you can talk about hormones and start them, or do what you need to do with that. And then others have run binder programs up in Brisbane, I believe. But yeah, I think AMSs have always been a lot more safer to go to for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. And I think if we can strengthen that partnership, it will go a lot further of a way to making sure that the funding that we get stays with us. The resources that are created are made by us, and all that sort of stuff. And it's not having to go through necessarily an organization that just wants to do a money grab, or has no real regard for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people.
Yeah, I agree with what Taz said, about the money grabbing and tokenism as well. We're just not a statistic. We're actually human beings, and our lives matter. And Sister Girl and Brother Boy's lives do matter. Black lives matter, first of all, and we matter, and as being Sister Girls and Brother Boys. And yeah, and having these organizations on board, well, it's fundamental to strengthen our community and to help us push forth and to move forward within our whether it's been transitioning or with our lives and such like that. And like, I understand that a lot of our mobs, like, I can't speak for everyone, but I'm going off from what I've heard from previous clients of I wouldn't, yeah, clients I've spoken with, that the trust factor, with the AMSs as well, they don't want to, they'd rather go to a white mainstream sexual health clinic or something like that, because they have that trust factor with the AMSs, because, they might, family might be working there and information might get leaked out, and, which breaches privacy and confidentiality. And especially if that brother boy or sister girl is suffering with a bloodborne virus or a chronic, as sexual infection. We need these organizations to eradicate that breach of confidentiality, and to up their games to support us more within our communities, so we can have that trust towards them as well, and because a lot of the trust has been broken, unfortunately. And that's why, me and Tess, we're working with ACON, and we want to build that trust back up again, for our mobs and for the AMSs to provide that safe place for us, to approach them and knowing that, I personally, if I want to go to an AMS, I want to know that my information is not going to get leaked out, that people are not going to know about my what medications I'm on, or being an asthmatic or whatever like that, but yeah, that's what I think.
I think that's everyone's right, isn't it? To have confidentiality.
Exactly.
We, like in Victoria, there's a lot of we call them machos down here, Aboriginal Community Controlled Health Orgs, and there's been a lot of in LGBTIQ, Sister Girl and Brother Boy like awareness, and yeah, it's been really amazing. Is New South Wales, is that happening out in the services too? Are they requesting more training in that space, or
Oh yeah, most definitely. I actually was doing for our trans hub,
yeah,
doing updating our doctors, gender affirming doctors list. So it was took a lot of time, but my manager actually sent an email out to all of them, and we're getting lots of response. So updated information about gender affirming doctors, even from AMSs and stuff like that. So
great.
which has been really, really good, and even in especially out in remote rural communities as well. So they're getting that education to actually perform and to diagnose, prescribe the hormone or testosterone medications, and to help a sister girl and brother boy living out in remote communities and wherever they are through rural New South Wales to actually transition in a healthy way. And it's been, it's been excellent. Yeah.
Oh, great. That's really good to hear. Is there any, like, what about the Sister Girls and Brother Boys Facebook group? Was that really important to you both? And, those types of support, and thinking about any Sister Girls and Brother Boys who are out there today, or maybe what sort of messages do you want to send to them, and any advice you might have for people viewing this yarn, or just about being a brother boy and a sister girl, It's a lot.
That's a great.
The big question.
I definitely would say find the Facebook group and request an ad. I was fortunate enough to be able to get in touch with a brother boy before I was added to the Facebook group, and so I was able to have a conversation about if this was actually who I was, and it turns out it was. But then being added to the Facebook group, it certainly made me feel like I was not alone, which is something that I think definitely I thought I was at the start. And then there's like 1,000+ strong Facebook group, and there's so much information and support given within that group. Auntie Lisa, who runs it, like she deserves a wage on that, just for the amount of work that she puts into it and how she supports just about everyone that joins, if not supports them fully. And so yeah, that's definitely my first point. And find a safe doctor would be another one, and just make sure that you got a sense of community about you, and they'll also let you know where to go that's safe and whatnot. So
yeah, I think that having this, now personally, having sister girls and brother boys on social networking, it saved my life, to be honest. Like, just to know that there are other people just like me out there in the community, and knowing that there's I'm not alone, and as Tess says, feeling that, not feeling that sense of isolation. Like I was, lived that bush like way out in whoop whoop, and no reception or anything, and just grew up feeling alone. And I think it's important, especially for our young ones today. Like, we've got young sister girls and brother boys now, and like their parents are actually joining the group, Sisters and Brothers Australia group, and and as a reaching out to us to ask us about how they should raise their younger ones, the next generation. And I think it's very, having that group is very important. And the elders in the group and the administration in the group, making a big difference. And it's pretty much basically saving lives and saving people, and it's a lifesaver. That's how I see it. And
Yeah,
it's very important.
I totally agree. But now we've got you, Briana, and you, Taz, working, and being visible in New South Wales and being able to be contacted through ACON if people want that. And I'm happy to refer, and hopefully down the track we can do projects together, something across Victoria as well. So let's finish on an uplifting note, and I'll ask you, what is great about being a brother boy and a sister girl, and what makes you proud?
Being Beyonce is great. I mean, a sister girl is great. Being a sister girl is amazing. First of all, I had the opportunity to first live as a man, and now I'm living as a woman, and it's been great. And I think it's a wonderful experience, and to be in a position where I'm working at ACON, I can, and having that visibility, and being that face, of transgender people, and it's an honor, really. And it's an honor because at the end of the day, I do believe in God, and I believe God created me, the Great Spirit. In my language, we call him Al-Jirakarta, which is the Great Spirit, created me as I am who I am. And God loves me, Al-Jirakarta. He loves me for who I am and not what I do. And I am a sister girl. And my spirit is connected to Al-Jirakarta. Yeah.
Thanks, Briana. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So sorry, my Wi-Fi cut out.
That's all right. You're back, Taz, which is great.
Yeah. That's the last question, isn't it?
The last question is just finishing up, on a lifting up, what's great about being a brother boy and what makes you proud? Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely, when I was younger and I first started in the sector, one of my main things was that I never wanted someone to go through what I went through during life, and even transitioning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I still maintain to this day. Like one of the first questions was about housing, sexual health and connection and support. Is I want to make sure that everyone that does come out and comes through on their own journey, that they are 100% supported, and that there's going to be something there for them to fall through on if that's what happens. And that's what I like about our community, is we're also quite resilient and strong people, and I don't think I could be anything else other than a brother boy. I just love it, and it's so me to 100% of a T. I just love it. Yeah, wouldn't change a single thing.
Well, I just want to say, look, I adore you both, and I think you're doing amazing jobs, and only wish you well. We're all part of the community, and we're all doing our bit in it. And it's great to see you in roles where you can make change happen and be visible. And I feel extremely honoured to have the role I do as well, and it doesn't come without its sense of responsibility. I'm sure you're both like that as well. So I just want to thank you both for joining me today for a little yarn. And when I post this up, I might put your contacts so people might be able to contact you at ACON. And so thanks again for today. Go well, and I'll talk to you real soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
You too.
Uncle Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.